We're now in the third week of April 2020, and it is the moment where most of you are going to decide if first you're going to be doing your A-levels, and if you are, what subjects you're going to be offering. Generally, we know that all of the subjects at A-levels have some sort of a connection with the industry. So the A-levels is meant to actually give you, the student, a good foundation in that subject so that you can relate it to your work. For example, we learn about hardware in a very general and then a more technical sense. You learn about computer architecture and concepts, that is, you go into the inner workings of the computer. And there is about 50% of the syllabus covering programming and programming techniques. Now, this is a critical part of any computer science undergraduate program as well. We then have a very introductory level of working with a language like Prolog to just understand the concepts of artificial intelligence or AI. Now, project management is not something that is strictly computer based. It is something that you would relate to many areas, from construction to manufacturing, to electronics, to basically any industrial work. And then we have a very simple overview of robotics, and we also look at the concepts of web development. Now, when I say web development, we're not going to be actually building websites, but it would give you the concepts of what a server-side language is and what client-side languages are and how they work together to make a website available. So once you've covered the A-level in computer science, you become actually more aware of how things are done, how things work, and they serve as a guideline for you to make a better decision about your career. Now, the other reason why people choose the A-levels is because it's the route to university in most cases. The common route is to go for the A-level, and then students move on to university. But in certain cases, students would opt to take a foundation year and then jump into the first year of university, thus skipping the A-levels. Although there is no problem in this route, you have to make sure that the foundation program you choose is accepted by different universities. Because oftentimes the foundation program of University A will not be accepted by University B. So make sure you clarify before you actually take this route. And then of course you have the other route where you can straight off go into alternative programs without A-levels at all. For example, there is the BCS Higher Education Program, that is the British Computer Society of UK. You could simply follow the certificate level, which is the equivalent of the first year of a university program. So you could do that without A-levels at all. And whether you should do that is up to you. Now we come to the subject combinations. You have to make sure that the subjects you choose are somehow related and that they would work together or that they would benefit you in some way. See, for example, if you're doing computer science, accounting and business studies, they make a good match. Because oftentimes people who do computer science end up in programming or software development, and they have to build business systems. So to build business systems, having an accounting knowledge is definitely a plus, and having business studies would give you a general idea, a broad idea of business processes and how they're carried out. So that's a superb combination. On the other hand, if you're looking at engineering, maths and physics with computer science is also a great combination. But consider this one. If a student is opting for law with physics and tourism, that's absolute nonsense in my view. Now it is quite disappointing to see students opting for such subject combinations, despite advice not to do that. And the saddest thing is when such students actually drop out of the A-level after a whole year has gone by. Now I'm actually surprised that schools would allow such a thing. So please make sure that you choose your subject combinations wisely. The next most important thing is that you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy the subject in the beginning, and you're not going to enjoy it in the next 4 months or 5 months, remember you have 2 whole years ahead, right? So you're going to be having a very bad experience until you finish your A-levels, and the chances are that you will not put in effort to get any better in the subject. So you have to make sure you enjoy what you're doing. For example, if someone told me that I should learn chemistry for A-level, even though I may have the capacity to do it, I don't enjoy doing it and I wouldn't choose it. So if I don't enjoy the subject in the beginning, I'm going to find it more challenging as time goes on. The next thing is that it should help you build a career path. That is, consider how you would use this knowledge in the next stage of your life. Say you're going to university, you're going to be doing engineering. So definitely having a knowledge of computer science will help you. Having knowledge of math or physics will help you. So make sure whatever subject you choose is going to help you build that career path, that it's going to help you get one step closer to your goals in life. Another very important thing is that you should not have any restrictions with regards to pursuing the career. For example, if you are a person who is afraid of heights, you should not take up civil engineering where you will have to climb up building structures. And if you're a person who has some sort of hearing impairment, then piloting is definitely a no. And finally, it is important that you choose a subject that will help you make a living out of. For example, if you've learned programming at A-level, you could pursue a programming course, maybe to build mobile applications or web applications, and you could actually start working at an early stage in your life, and that would actually be helpful and it will actually benefit you. The next concern is why you should choose computer science. In my view, it is one of the most practical subjects that you have at A level. Just like when you take accounting, someone who does A level accounting, for example, can instantly move into a workplace and work as a trainee bookkeeper or something that involves accounts. And similarly, someone who learns maths at A level would be able to consider working as a draftsman or a CAD operator at an early stage. The next thing is that the A-level computer science syllabus gives you a good foundation in the subject. So you cover quite a lot of different areas, and it would give you an insight into the capabilities in the future. So you can make better decisions about if you should choose something over the other. And finally, we also see that most of the engineering programs at university level, they have a component of programming or computer science to some level, so it's always going to be a plus point having this knowledge at A level. Now we come to a key question: should you consider computer science or not? So you would consider computer science if, number one, you love to code. And I mean you love to code. Not half-heartedly, you've got to love to code. You enjoy working with hardware and software. Now when I say working with hardware and software, it's not just plugging in a mouse and using it. You would want to hack into it, you would want to know how it works in the inside, you would want to build something else out of it. So you've got to have that need, that desire to break something down into pieces, analyze it and put it back, or build something else out of it. So that's what I mean by working with hardware. Another important thing is that this subject keeps changing so much, so you've got to be willing to be a learner for life. For example, things that I've been teaching 10 years ago are now obsolete. The next thing is that you have to be ready to take up challenges. You know, there are some students who, when you give them a problem to solve, when they're halfway in it, they would come up with excuses, or maybe it's not an excuse, this is just, it's really happening to them. Some would complain that they feel sick, they want to throw out, or they get headaches, or their eyes hurt, or something or the other, simply because they're not used to taking up these challenges. So when you say solve a problem, it's not like the answers are sometimes just apparent, it's not just there in front of you. You've got to dig into something, you've got to analyze it, break it down. So if these are going to be too much for the student, then that person should consider a different subject. But if you are in for it, you think you will enjoy taking up such challenges, then you're most welcome into computer science. Another thing is change. Don't think that what you're learning now will be the same 10 years from now. They change so fast, which means, back to the previous point, you've got to be a learner for life. Another thing, if you plan on an engineering career, then know that computer science is going to be, I would say, embedded in your subject, whether it be mechanical, electronic, or otherwise. If you're planning anything in engineering, you would definitely have computer science to assist you. Another thing, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to work early in life, that is soon after A-levels, maybe give yourself 3 or 4 months to learn something, you want to get into work, then definitely having computer science is a plus. It's going to set the foundation to allow you to do that. Finally, not to discourage anyone, but this is the reality. You should not choose computer science if you don't like to code, or you just don't get it. Of course, don't come to this conclusion that you don't get it or that you don't like to code just by what you've heard from somebody else, or just because you didn't understand something 2 years ago at grade 8 or something. You have to give yourself the chance to learn. And after that, if you find that it's not working out, then yes, you should not do computer science. Similarly, if you don't like digging into the subject or going into the depth of technology, then you should not do computer science. Also, if you're a person who's thinking, I'm going to finish this degree in the next 3 years or 4 years and then I'm done, that's going to be the end of me learning, then computer science is definitely not for you. If problem solving is always a challenge for you, please stay away from computer science. You don't like change, this is not for you. And if your career goals are non-tech related, then you don't need computer science. Say for example, you just want to be a lawyer, or you want to be a medical doctor, a general physician, that is, then I don't see why you need to have computer science. But perhaps in the future you would have to work with different tools or instruments that are computer based in order to carry out your work, so you would want to reconsider that thought. Finally, if you want to find out if computer science is for you, there are a few things you can do. The first most important thing you have to do is learn to code. You don't just come to a conclusion to say, I can't do this. You have to give yourself the chance to learn. So choose a programming language, any language. Just go with maybe BASIC or Python or Pascal. It doesn't matter. You just have to get the basics. You just have to get the hang of it. So when I say learn to code, how long should you put in? Let's say, for example, let's say you learn to code for about an hour a day, and you try this for maybe 6 days or 7 days. You should have an idea if you get the hang of coding or not. So you don't need to follow long courses just to see if this is for you. But of course, there are those rare moments when students sometimes in the first 2 months would make a big struggle, and then suddenly it clicks and then they just sail off successfully. The next thing is, you shouldn't judge yourself by what others claim you to be. You need to figure it out yourself. You know what you are, you know what you like and what you dislike, so you make your choices. Certain schools have this thing called the pre-A level, and it's probably going to be starting around the end of May or June in certain schools. So perhaps you would want to join one of those programs and find out if that subject combination works for you. In this case, we're talking about computer science. And finally, you would want to do a self-evaluation based on your current results or based on your current standing with regards to the subject. For example, if you have reached the O level up to now and you've had challenges in computer science, then you should ask yourself, why this happened to me? Ask yourself, did I actually put in my effort? Do I want to consider this for the future? Do I think this is going to be useful to me? Is this me? Can I see myself coding in the future? So try to see if you have put in enough effort to succeed in the subject or to make it through, and then you come to a decision. So finally, a bit of advice as to what you should be doing next. My advice is there are plenty of training programs online, and there are so many institutions that offer training programs. So try to get access to some of these things and see if you can learn programming out of them. We also hope to have some free programs online, like just to give you an introduction to see if you can get the basics right. And if you have any questions or concerns that you would want to discuss with me, please make an appointment. You could either call me for an appointment, or you could use the website marhaonline.com, and you could use the website and go on to the contact page and send me a mail, and let's take it from there. Okay, so that's it for now. Go do your best.